Today I'm going to talk about why you should treat strangers like NPCs, non-playable characters. Let's get into it. Treating strangers like NPCs is for a couple of simple reasons. The first reason is perhaps the most obvious, and it's why a bunch of simulation theory people are telling you to treat people like NPCs because you're the main character in your own game and nobody else really exists, which, by the way, is something called solipsism and is a horrible way to go through your life. But what it does do for you is it makes it so that you are not afraid of the people around you, because they're just NPCs. They aren't people with their own backstory and blah, 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 right? They are not the main character. Now, that can be detrimental. Obviously, you can treat people in bad ways, like you can pretend like you're in Grand Theft Auto, where people treat NPCs horribly and just do horrible things all the time. But in a role-playing game, the NPCs are opportunities. Every NPC you meet is an opportunity. So, like, I used to play World of Warcraft. Yes, I am guilty as charged. I played for years. I played in high school. And maybe I'll talk more about it at some point, because I did actually learn a lot about life from playing World of Warcraft. Kind of had to. But the idea that every single NPC you meet might give you a quest makes it so that you're walking around like a crazy person, just talking to literally everybody. And if you've played any of the more modern RPGs where there are just discussion trees and conversation trees galore with tons of these NPCs, and just sat through and gone, okay, what if I ask this question? And then what if I ask this question? And what happens if I ask them this question? And then maybe you've even gotten a response you didn't want. You've reloaded and saved and reloaded and gone back and done that whole conversation again so that you could get a better outcome. This is one of the benefits of treating strangers like NPCs, is you're willing to approach NPCs. You're not afraid of them. And you recognize that every NPC is an opportunity for a quest. So that's the second part, is the opportunity for a quest, or the opportunity for a connection and for experience. Games really do capture something about existence in a simplistic way that might be helpful to you. So if we approach every person as if they might be an opportunity for growth in ourselves, as well as an opportunity to actually help them, well, yeah, that's an excellent way to treat people. That person sitting on the street corner who's talking to themselves, maybe loudly, and is disheveled, is exactly the kind of person that you would probably approach in an RPG out of curiosity, going, I wonder what their story is. I wonder if they've got something really interesting. And some of the best items, some of the best experience, some of the best stories that I have from playing video games are when I accepted a quest from a very unlikely source. And that seems to be the case in real life too. So that's the second reason, because everybody has a quest. Everybody is an opportunity. The third reason to treat people like NPCs is because of the conversation trees. And this idea that you are willing to go back and try to get the full conversation tree and trying to work out problems together. And yeah, in real life, I don't have the benefit of a save game to just erase what has previously been done and go back and try to do it again. But in real life, I do have the benefit of retrying a conversation. Maybe you talk to a friend about something that is super difficult in your life. Maybe it was a specific theological issue that they just didn't agree with. And you ended that conversation angry at one Well, if I think in terms of how I've often thought, where it's like, well, I guess that was a loss and I just need to move on, then I don't go deeper. I don't try to work my way through that particular issue. But if instead I say, no, I'm gonna treat this person like an NPC and assume that I actually can learn more about them, that I can actually go through a broader conversation tree, then now I'm willing to go back and say, all right, we had this conversation previously, it didn't go as planned, so now I'm going to approach it in a different way. Just like I would in a game. I'm gonna pick a different option. I'm gonna approach it in a different way, and we're gonna seek understanding because of curiosity. Not just because I'm trying to convince them one way or the other. Right? NPCs in games can't be convinced. They don't change their minds. So we talk to them in order to understand, not to persuade. And the funniest thing about that is when you talk to people in real life, in order to understand their positions and understand what they are thinking and really get to know them, sometimes we do persuade. But when we jump into it with this idea that, I'm going to persuade them, we have all sorts of problems. But that's a problem I don't have with an NPC perspective. I know the NPC is not going to change their mind. They're programmed. This is what they're going to think. This is what they are going to say. And I may be able to modify it through decision trees, but that's not the point of talking to them. The point of talking to them is trying to get through and understand who they are, what their programming is, if you will, and then what quests and opportunities we have. And I do that because I'm not afraid of them, because they're just an NPC. These are a few positive ways that we can think about treating strangers like NPCs, and I touched on like the Grand Theft Auto problem of, hitting NPCs and just crime and all this other nonsense that we can do. That's not the point of this. The point of this is that there are people in your life who you love, who you know super well, who you already treat worse than you treat NPCs in video games. Because you listen to NPCs in video games, you actually ask questions to NPCs in video games, you're interested and curious about what's going on in the lives of these NPCs. So why don't we actually use a little bit of that to talk to people in the real world? So next time you're kind of worried about approaching somebody and you're thinking, oh man, like, what are they going to think about me? Get over it. They're NPCs. Just, pretend they're an NPC. And then when you're talking to them and you're like, man, I'm kind of bored. Get over that by going, no, hey, you know what? There might be a quest here. There might be an opportunity here to learn something new about myself and about them and about the world that I live in. And then lastly, if you're just wanting to give up when talking to somebody because you've had the conversation before and it's never going to change, well, maybe you should approach it in a different way, just like you would with an NPC. Don't approach with that particular option. Don't approach with a, hey, you should think what I think. Nobody likes that. Maybe approach with a, why do you think what you think? Or maybe a question about their life, or maybe a question about what's going on in their head at that moment. Ask clarifying questions. So see, NPCs and treating people like NPCs might just unlock something really fun and interesting that you can do in real life. So yeah, let's think about it. What can you think of are ways that you treat NPCs in video games that would probably be healthy and useful ways to treat people in real life? And vice versa. Throw them in the comments. Go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, or if you like the kind of strangeness of my vibe, go ahead and check out SibilantSword.com, where I have blog posts and all those kinds of things, as well as fantasy and devotions. Thanks a lot for listening, and I will see you next time.